consonants, let's go back to the way we describe consonants in English. Do you remember? How do we describe consonants in English? Or in any language could be. Yes. Voicing, place of articulation, manner of articulation. So far we have talked about voicing and we talked about place of articulation. We're going to talk about manner of articulation. And I think last time we started talking about manner of articulation, right? We started talking about oral sounds and nasal sounds. Did we finish that?
Yes.
All of it, yeah? Okay, a quick review. We're going to have a quick review. Then we're going to start with vowels. Okay? Okay. So a quick review with manner of articulation. We talked about oral and nasal sounds. Do you remember the difference between oral sounds and nasal sounds?
Yes.
What is the difference? Raise your hands if you know the answer. Yes, what's your name? Amal, yes, Amal.
With the oral sounds, the velum is released and the
Raised, yeah.
And the nasal cavity is closed.
It's closed.
Produce the oral sounds. When the nasal sounds, the velum is lowered.
Lowered.
And the nasal cavity is open.
Is open. This is the most important difference. Exactly, thank you. The most important difference between these two sounds, nasal cavity is open in nasal sounds and nasal cavity is closed in oral sounds. Remember, there was a question, what makes the sound ma, na, and ing different from other English sounds? What makes them different? Do you remember the sound ma, na, and ing? What makes them different, Lama? Yes, all of them are nasal sounds. That was a question in the first exam in one of the years. We asked him what makes the sounds na, ma, and ing different from other English sounds. They are nasals. What does it mean, nasals? Nasal cavity is open. Good? Okay. We also talked about stops. Do you remember why we call them stops? Why do we call them stops? Yes.
There are stopping in the airstream and then letting it go.
Exactly. So the airflow is stopped completely. By what? It depends. So if you have ta and pa, those are stopped by the lips. If you have ta and da, by the tip of the tongue touching the alveolar ridge, so it prevents the airflow from going out of the mouth for parts of seconds. Then what happens? The closure is released. Then you have the airflow coming out of the mouth. So you hear the stop. We also have ka and ga. Airflow is stopped completely by in ka and ga.
Back of the tongue touching.
Back of the tongue touching the velum. So back of the tongue touching the velum, airflow is stopped completely. We talked about this. We have 6 stops in English. Also, we talked about fricatives. How do we produce fricatives? How do we produce fricatives in English? Do you want to have another quiz? No? Okay. Start answering these questions. How do we produce fricatives?
They are produced when we block the airstream and then letting the air flow through the narrow passage.
Exactly. So in fricatives, what do we have? We have a small passage. Okay? So our speech organs form a small passage, a narrow passage, then we force the air through that narrow passage. We could hear a hissing sound or a hushing sound. A sound just like s. That's a fricative, right? You leave a narrow passage where? In s. Where is that narrow passage?
Tip of the tongue, alveolar ridge.
Yes, tip of the tongue, we'll say blade. Actually, to be very accurate, it's the blade of the tongue and the alveolar ridge. We also have a fricative sound just like, let's say, sh. Where is your narrow passage? You force the air through that narrow passage. Where is that small passage?
The blood of tongue and alveolar ridge.
And the area between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. Remember, the sound sh is an alveopalatal. Yeah? Okay. The sound th. It's a fricative. I form a small passage. Where is that small passage?
What?
Th.
Th?
Yes. Th. Yes.
Between dentals and
No, Lama.
Between the tip of the tongue and the alveolar ridge.
Behind the upper teeth.
The upper teeth, exactly. Tip of the tongue with the upper teeth, you form the small passage. We talked about this. Just a quick review. We talked about fricatives. Look at it. In red, small passage. Small passage. We talked about this. Okay, if I ask you about fricative and you forgot to talk about the small passage, narrow passage, it's not your answer is going. It's not going to be complete. Okay. The most important upper teeth and the lower lip. You have th and the. They are dental sounds. It means the narrow passage is going to be between the tip of the tongue and the upper teeth. Then you have alveolar sounds, just like sa and za. You have the blade of the tongue is going to form a narrow passage with the alveolar ridge because they are alveolar sounds. And then you have alveopalatal sounds, sha and ja. This is sha and ja. So we're going to form a narrow passage between the blade of the tongue and the area between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. And the last fricative that we have is the glottal fricative ha. We form a narrow passage where?
Yes. In the large
vocal folds.
Yes, sir.
the vocal folds, so muscles, we have a narrow passage between.
Exactly. So in the glottis, or between the vocal folds. Do you have any questions about this? We talked about this in details last time. Do you have any questions about any of these? Are you sure? Okay. Shall I continue? Yes. Okay. I'm doing this review because I want you to ask questions. Okay. If you do have questions, please ask. Okay. Then we talked about affricates. You remember? We only have two affricates in English. We have the cha sound and the ja sound. And we said the affricates are a combination of a stop and a fricative. A stop and a fricative. So you can say it's a stop plus a fricative. Look at this. Affricates begin as stops, just like cha. It starts with a ta sound, just like ja. It starts with a da sound and ends as a fricative. So you have the sha sound is a fricative, ja sound is a fricative. So a combination of two sounds. As you notice, look at them, they look like two sounds. So those are affricates, combination of two. Ta and sha, da and ja. Or we can say a stop and a fricative. And we talked about this. Yeah, it explains it here in the slide. Okay, so the stop plosive is followed immediately by a fricative noise. We talked about this. Any questions about affricates? Any questions about affricates? No? And also we talked about approximants last time. Do you remember? And we said we do have 4 approximant consonants in English. 4. Number 1, you have the lateral sound. Do you remember why we call the sound a lateral? Yes.
Because we have an airflow from the sides of the tongue.
Exactly. It escapes through the sides of the tongue. The airflow escapes through the side of the tongue. Another question from one of the years before you guys, we asked them, why do we call the sound la a lateral sound? That was a question. We said because the air escapes through the sides of the tongue. So what happens? The tongue is touching the alveolar ridge. What happens to the sides of the tongue? They are lowered. So we lower the sides of the tongue and the air escapes through the sides of the tongue. How can we tell? We can perform a small test. We can say, you can feel the air is on the sides of the tongue. And that's why we call this sound a lateral sound. Because we do have a lateral airflow. We don't have a central airflow just like the other sounds. So what makes the sound la different from the other sounds? What makes it different? It's a lateral sound. It means the airflow is lateral. It's not central. Okay? Number 2, we talked about the retroflex ra. Do you remember how we produce this sound? Can you explain to me how we produce the ra in English? It's not the same as in Arabic. Okay, in Arabic we said when you produce the ra, the tip of the tongue is touching the alveolar ridge. But what happens when we produce the sound ra in English? What happens? Yeah. Exactly. Your tongue is curled backwards. Your tongue is curled backwards. Just want to go to, I have to write this, curled backwards. Not sure. No, it's not how we do it. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. You can write that. I don't think, do you think we can touch that? I'm not sure. Anyway, the most important thing to say, in retroflex sounds, just like the sound ra in English, the tip of the tongue is curled backwards. What does that mean? This is the tongue. When I pronounce R, my tongue is curled backwards. The tip of the tongue is curled behind the alveolar ridge. So you say, for example, car. Look at my tongue. Look at my tongue. Car. What happens to my tongue? It's curled backwards. So next time you pronounce English words, try to use the retroflex ra to have a good pronunciation of English. If you say ra just like Arabic, you say car. It's not car, or I'm going to write something. We're not going to write something, just like Arabic speakers. How can we improve our pronunciation? Replace your Arabic ra with the English R. Right. Car. Not right. Not car. Right. Car. And your pronunciation is going to improve. Okay? The lateral sound and the retroflex. What does it mean, retroflex? Retro means back. Flex means curled. It means the tongue is curled backwards. That's what it means, okay? We call the lateral sound la and the retroflex sound ra liquids. We refer to them as liquids. So what are liquids in English? La and ra. Okay? Other approximant sounds, semivowels or glides. We talked about them. You have two semivowels or glides, wa and ya. And we said we call them semivowels because they are affected by the following vowel sound. Yes, they are affected by the following vowel sound. Let me give you an example. An example in a word just like wet and wood. We said when you pronounce the word wet, the sound wa is affected by the following vowel sound, which is e. You say wet. But when you say wood, the u sound, I'm not talking about the letter. I'm not talking about the letter o or the letter e. I'm talking about the sound. So the sound u, we say, affects the sound wa. That's why it's a semivowel. It is affected by the following vowel sound. So it looks like a vowel. Phonetically, it behaves like a vowel. But phonologically, it means it's positioned just like any other consonant. It means the context in which this sound occurs actually just like any other consonant. But the only difference is that it behaves phonetically like vowels. Why? Because the following vowel sound affects the pronunciation of the semivowel. That's why when you say wet, the wa in wet is different from the wa in wood. Can you feel it? Why? Because the sound wa is affected by this vowel, by the following vowel. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah? And we have another one which is ya. Okay, also this one is not the simple. It's not the symbol. Actually, I forgot to change it again. This is not a symbol for ya. Let's use the IBA symbol. This is the symbol for ya. Yes. According to the IBA, do you remember the IBA? Yes, International Phonetic Alphabet. And we showed you the chart of IBA. So this is the ya sound. It's the same thing. So when you say you or yet, the sound ya is affected by the following vowel sound. Now, why do we call it a glide? Because the tongue is going to move or glide from the position of this consonant to the position of the following vowel. Gliding. The tongue is not going to move from one position to another. It's going to glide. Yeah? Okay. Do you have any questions about this? Okay, my question now. These four sounds, I mean, these, let's say 3 points or 3 points about these sounds, they actually look a little bit different. Why do you think we have them in the same group? Why do you think we have all of these sounds in the same group? If they are in the same group, I mean, they must have something in common, right? If you have a lot of things in the same group, it means
There is something.
there's something in common. It means the sound la is an approximant. The sound ra is an approximant. Wa and ya are approximants. What do they have in common, Ahmed?
Like they almost applied to the other rules of the stops, fricative, and the affricates.
They're different, yes. They're different from those. And
They have a symbol from the tongue. When we see ra, the tongue is getting back, and when we see the lateral sound, the la, also there is a move. When we say semivowel glides, there's also a move in the tongue.
so the tongue is moving. That's something that's in common. Any ideas? Any other ideas?
These sounds that they produce from the one places.
One place. What is the place of articulation of la? Alveolar. What is the place of articulation of the? What is the place of articulation of wa? Bilabial. What is the place of articulation of ya? Palatal. Right? Palatal, bilabial, alveolar. So what do they have in common then? Why are they in the same group?
Oral sounds.
All of them are oral sounds, but you have fricatives that are oral. airflow. So the airflow is smooth. So when you say, there's no obstruction of the air, just like we say, it's like there's a hissing sound in here. When we say, it's actually very clear. The sound is very clear, and you don't have like a friction in the airflow. So what do they have in common? There's no major obstruction of airflow when pronouncing these sounds. No major obstruction. If you think about stops, for example, the airflow is stopped completely. Think about fricatives. The airflow is stopped partially by forming a small passage. With these sounds, no. Airflow is flowing, let's say, sort of freely. Not completely freely, but you can say fairly freely. Yeah? It means there is no major obstruction of the airflow. That's why they are in the same group. See what I'm talking about? Yeah? In stops, airflow is stopped completely. In fricatives, airflow is stopped partially. Here, the airflow is free. Okay? Fairly free, let's say. Good so far? Yeah? Shall I continue? Okay. After all of these sounds, we did a quick review of what we talked about last time. We're going to talk about two important sounds. Also, they could exist in some accents in English. Look at this, the glottal stop. Okay, before you continue reading about this, think about the word glottal. It means the place of articulation is in glottis. Think about the word stop. What do you think the manner of articulation is? It's going to be, the airflow is going to be stopped completely. Okay, we're talking about a glottal stop in English. Look at this. The glottal stop is produced by obstructing the airflow where? In the glottis. So we said, for example, we do have 6 stops in English. We have ta, da, ka, ga, and pa and ba. We said each one of them obstructs the air in a different way. With pa and pa, we said we use the lips. With ta and da, we use the alveolar ridge and the tip of the tongue. With ka and ga, back of the tongue and the velum. In the glottal stop, we stop the air in the glottis. So what do you think? The glottis is going to be open or closed to stop the airflow? Closed. So look at this. The glottis is closed completely. So imagine those are your vocal folds. When I pronounce the glottal stop, my glottis is going to be something like this. Closed. To stop the air completely. What is that sound? It's a sound. A. Okay, it's the same sound you find in Arabic. The a sound. Yeah? So the a sound, when I pronounce the a sound, what happens? How do I produce this sound? My glottis is totally closed to stop the air completely. And that's why I call it a stop. Why glottal? Because it's in the glottis. It happens in the glottis. So my glottis is closed. It stops the air completely. And how do we produce this sound? Ah. This is the symbol, the IBA symbol for the sound ah. My question is, do we find this sound in English?
No.
No, it's not there. Actually,
By pronouncing it that produced, but not in the English. No.
So yes, actually, in standard varieties of English, standard, just like for example, the standard British English, the standard American English, we don't find this sound. Standard. I'm talking about the standard one. But in some accents in English, yes, we do find glottal stops. An example of that accent is Cockney English. Cockney English, or the English that they speak in London. So people who live in London, they speak the Cockney accent. Cockney accent, they use the glottal stop. The question is where? Let's look at this. So what we have here, we said the glottis is closed completely. My question was, do we find this sound in English? Actually, in standard varieties of English, in standard accents of English. Okay, when I say the word standard, okay, for example, you say, what is the standard form of Arabic? Fusha Arabic. This is the standard Arabic. So when I say standard English, we're talking about the English that you use, for example, in news channels. The English that they teach to foreigners. That's what I mean standard. So in standard British English, in standard American English, we don't find the glottal stop ah. Go to America, you'll never hear someone using the glottal stop ah in any of the words. Never. Now go to the UK. Go to London, for example. In London, they use an accent that they call the Cockney English, London speech. In London, they use the glottal stop ah in some words, just like, look at this. So in standard British English, they would pronounce this as bottle. Standard. In London accent, bottle. They use the glottal stop ah, bottle. So what do? Instead of the ta here, they would pronounce a glottal stop. They would say bottle. You have the example in your textbook. Bottle.
Yes.
In a word just like this. So in standard British English, they would say butter or putter. They wouldn't pronounce the R, putter. Now, if they pronounce this using the glottal stop, bottle. Yeah. Bottle, butter. Yeah. And sometimes actually they would use, when they say what, they don't say what, they say what. Yeah? What? What is happening? Okay? This is only found, just like I said, the glottal stop is only found in London accent. Okay? And only in London accent. Now, just like I said, go to America. How do they pronounce these words in America? There's a flap. Bottle. Yeah? Just like in a word, rider. Rider. So in British English, they would say writer. In American English, they would say rider. What we call this sound here is the next sound that we're going to talk about, which is the flap. Okay, let me do that. I can find that. You're lucky to have a computer. I can find that. Let's see. The glottal stop, and you can hear how we produce the glottal stop. I hope this one is working. Let's see. Okay. I think they use that. Maybe we could find this here.
Hello and welcome to another Daily Dose of English.
I just need the example.
Request comes from Belcada.
Hello, Richard.
Now that's an interesting question. It's probably also left a lot of viewers scratching their heads. And it's used in many languages made when the vocal cords close
Yeah,
and
you hear?
stop the flow of air. The gap between the vocal cords is called the glottis. The vocal made with the voice stops like a hissing. That's voice have a cold. Right, that's the technical details out the way.
Okay, just need the example.
There, you can use a glottal stop.
Yes, listen.
Many people say cat with a glottal stop. Cat with a glottal stop sounds like this. Cat.
Did you hear that? Cat. When do they actually use that? Just like I said, in one accent of English, okay? One accent, which is the Cockney English, okay? Okay, we could find that in other accents. According to your textbook, some New Yorkers in New York, they use that, and some Scottish people use that. But it's very widely used in London, very widely. Go to London and listen to how people actually speak. They're going to use glottal stops everywhere. Yeah? They would say, for example, cat. Yeah? What? Bottle.
Is it the same accent that you use?
I'm not speaking London accent. Sometimes are actually, but not. I mean, unconsciously. Unconsciously, I use a glottal stop sometimes. But I'm trying to avoid the usage of glottal stops. I'm trying to actually speak with a standard British English, which is the received pronunciation, we call them. Received pronunciation is the standard British English. Okay? It's most educated people use that. They wouldn't use London accent. Actually, they would refer to London accent as a lower class accent. Yeah? They would refer to the Cockney English. But because I live there, sometimes just unconsciously, I do this unconsciously, okay? I don't want to do that. I'm trying to do the received pronunciation, okay? Okay, let's continue. So we said this is the first sound that does not exist in some, let's say, varieties of English. We have another one that only exists in America. Yeah? So go to America, you do have the flap. The flap. So, what is the flap? Let's talk about this. The flap is produced by the tongue tip being thrown against the alveolar ridge for an instant. So what are you going to do? If you want to imitate the American accent, you should have flaps. So how do we do the flaps? You have the tip of the tongue is going to touch your alveolar ridge really, really quickly. Okay? So in a word just like writer, in America you would hear it as writer. What am I doing? When I say writer, my tip of the tongue is touching my alveolar ridge really, really quickly. So, before we talk about this, yes, look at this. This sound is considered to be characteristic of American English. Okay, what's an American movie? If you watch an American movie, you hear them using the flap in what? When they have ta or da sounds between vowels. So if you have a word just like this, a word just like city. Now, go to the UK, they would say city. Now, go to America, city. Did you hear that on TV? Yeah, so you say, for example, I'm going to New York City. So what do? The sound ta here, they use a flap. When do I flap? You have to be careful. Americans do not flap everywhere. They do not flap all the ta and all the das. No. They only flap in certain words. Certain words. When you have the ta or the da between vowels. Okay, so you have, for example, the word tree. In America, would they flap this? No. So when do they flap? When they have the ta here. The ta or the da consonants between vowels. This clear? Yeah. Okay, let's see how Americans pronounce flap. We could find that on YouTube as well, or some. Okay. Flapping, or the flap sound. Look at the symbol. Oh yeah, I changed that. The flap sound. Okay. Yes. Listen to this. Yes, that's a good YouTube video about that.
In this American English pronunciation video, we're going to take a look at the question, is the flap T really a D sound?
Okay.
They will say it's not the same as a D sound in, for example, day. My answer to them, you're right. But the flap T, or T between vowels, is the same
You hear that? Between vowels, yeah?
as a D between vowels. So basically what I'm saying is that a D between vowels is not the same sound as a D in other cases, though they both use the same IPA symbol. Let's take a look at an example word,
Yeah.
dad. For that beginning D,
You're actually talking about the differences between the da sound and the flap, because the flap is not actually a D. Okay? When I pronounce the da sound, you remember what we do? Tip of the tongue touching the alveolar ridge. Now when I flap, I do touch the alveolar ridge, but really, really quickly. Okay? We do need another example. Okay, not that. She's actually explaining the da sound. Okay, yes, listen to that.
make that D more noticeable. Daddy. Did you hear a stop? There wasn't one. Daddy.
Did you hear the flap? It's not daddy, it's daddy. Yes. Did you hear why? Because the sound da, look at the sound da and the transcription, it's between two vowels. Yeah? Do you see what we're talking about here? Yeah? When you listen to American movies, okay, try to listen very carefully to how they actually flap. Yeah? City, rider, and so on. They do this a lot. Okay? Okay. And the symbol for that, look, this is the symbol. The symbol in the IBA that represents this sound is a capital Z or this symbol. It's not a ra, it's not a ra, it's a different symbol actually. You have it in your textbook, okay? You have these symbols in your textbook. The capital D, but it's not a D, okay? Okay, that's what I noticed in your quizzes. When I ask you for examples of sounds, some of you actually use, for example, a capital F, a capital D. Be careful, okay? Don't use capitals. If you use a capital D, for example, it means you're talking about the flap. But we're not using the flap, we're using the sound da. The sound da is not a capital D. Be careful when I ask you to write the symbols, the IBA symbols, okay? Is this clear about the flap and the glottal stop? Do you have an idea now?
إذا flap يعني symbol ده write this symbol.
Yes, this is the symbol for flap. So if I ask you, what is the IBA symbol that represents the sound flap? This is the symbol, or you can use that. You have both symbols in your textbook. Okay? Other questions? Other questions about the flap and the glottal stop? Really interesting. What you can do, you can go online, you can listen, you can do just what I did on YouTube. Write the flap sound, the glottal stop. You're going to listen to videos. They teach you how to pronounce the da, the flap and the glottal stop. The glottal stop is clear. It's easy for us because as native speakers of Arabic, the sound is really, actually, it's very easy to pronounce, yeah? But in some accents, for example, some English speakers find it really hard to say for example. They can use it in some sounds, but not words, just like oh. There's a glottal stop in here, yeah? Okay. We're done with the glottal stop and the flap. You have a full explanation of that in your textbook. Also, you can get the slides if you want to. You can read off the slides. Let's continue. We're done with manner of articulation. Before I start with vowels, we're done with consonants. Do you have any questions about consonants? Any questions about the voicing, or the place of articulation, or the manner of articulation? Any questions? Questions? No. Okay. So remember at the beginning of this course, we said sounds are classified into two groups. We said that group number 1 is the vowels, and group number 2 is the consonants. Okay? The consonants. We finished with the consonants, and today we're going to talk about vowels. When we learn the vowels and the symbols for the vowels, we're going to be able to transcribe a whole word. Okay? Okay, look at vowels. Vowels are produced with a relatively free flow of air. What does that mean? Okay, try to say ah. What happens to the airflow? Is it stopped completely?
No.
Are you forcing the air through a narrow passage? No. You're not using, actually, the tongue is not obstructing the airflow. So you have a free flow of air with vowels. So a vowel is ah, it's not a. If you say a, I, and e, those are the letters. We don't care about the letters. We said we do care about the sound. So you say the sound e, the sound u, and so on. Ah. We're going to talk about these sounds, okay? Okay. They are all typically voiced. All the vowels are voiced. We don't have voiceless vowels, okay? Now examples. Look at this. This is not the letter I. This is the sound E. This is not the letter U. This is the sound oo. So E, oo. Yeah? So look at this. You do have in between square brackets. I'm using square brackets to say this is not the letter I. This is not the letter oo. This is actually the sound E. The sound oo. The sound E in words just like beat. You have E. Oo, just like in the word boots. You have oo sound. We're going to learn all the vowels in English. Next, in Arabic, we don't have a lot of vowels in Arabic. We don't have a lot of vowels, but in English we do. Some vowels actually more than Arabic. I'm not going to say a lot of vowels, it's actually more than Arabic. Look at this. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. How are vowels described? Remember when we said consonants are described using 3 things. The vowels are the same thing. There are 3 things to describe vowels by. Number 1, we use the height of the tongue. It means the vertical distance between the surface of the tongue and the roof vowel E, this is the vowel E, this is the vowel F, and this is the vowel R. So when I pronounce E, for example, I measure the height of the tongue. So this is the tongue, and I'm going to measure the distance between the surface of the tongue and the roof of the mouth. So what do you think? Do you think this vowel is high or low in the mouth? High. Okay, the highest, exactly. Now look at the vowel, for example, R. Yes, if you try to measure the height of the tongue, which is the distance between the surface of the tongue and the roof of the mouth, you're going to see it's actually bigger than the vowel E. So you can actually describe the vowel E as a high vowel. Why? Because the tongue is high inside the mouth. And you can describe the vowel R as a low vowel because it's low in the mouth. You can feel it. Try to say E-R, E-R. You're going to feel sometimes you raise your tongue and the other times you lower your tongue. Try to say it. Try to say E-R, E-R. What happens to your tongue? Yeah?
Goes up and down.
Yeah, it goes up and down, exactly. So your tongue sometimes is up when you say E and it's down when you say R. Yeah? Sorry? I'm sorry, did you say anything? Questions? Okay. So when you say E, your tongue is high inside your mouth. And when you say, for example, A, your tongue is low inside your mouth. So this is number one. We describe vowels by referring to the height of the tongue. What does it mean, height of the tongue? It means the distance between the surface of the tongue and the roof of the mouth. Let's look at this vowel, for example, E. Let's look at this. Yeah? It's like it's between the vowel R and the vowel E. You see what we're doing here? Yeah. That's number one, how we describe vowels. Number two, so we said we use the height of the tongue, and we know now what is the height of the tongue, okay? So it's actually the distance between the surface of the tongue and the roof of the mouth, and we showed you what that means. Now number two, we also talk about the backness or the frontness part of of the tongue. It means which part of the tongue is raised highest. Is it the front or the back? Let's look at this. Let's go back to here. So if you look at this, the sound E, it looks like I'm using the front part of the tongue. It is the part of the tongue that is raised highest. Yeah? Okay. It is the part of the tongue that is raised highest. Look at this. This is front. I'm using the front part of the tongue. So how can I explain the vowel E? I can say it is a high front vowel. It means I'm using the front part of the tongue, or the part of the tongue that is raised highest is the front part. Look at the vowel R. How can I describe it? It's a low vowel. Are you using the front or the back? The back. So I can describe it as low back. If you look at this, it's high front, low back. Why? Because you're using the back part of the tongue. Okay? Okay. Not this vowel. When I talk about R, the back one, I'm not talking about the A. Let me just explain this, which uses those are actually front. All of them are front. Okay? I'm talking about this vowel, A. A. That's another vowel. In a vowel just like A, I'm using the back part of the tongue. So if I say, for example, A, this is front. A, this is back. It means I'm using the back part of the tongue to pronounce this vowel. Do you see what does it mean, the frontness or backness of the tongue? It means which part of the tongue I'm using, the front or the back. Okay? Okay, let's continue. We also explain vowels, or describe vowels by using the shape or the position of the lips. It means, are my lips rounded when I produce this vowel, or are they spread or neutral? So for example, when you say E, are your lips rounded or spread? Spread. Say oo, rounded. So if we go back to the sound E, if you give me a full description of the sound E, you would say it's a high vowel, it is a front vowel, and the lips are spread. With E, your lips are spread. You see what we're doing here? For example, if you want to explain the sound OO, actually, you're using the back part of your tongue, and it is a high vowel, and your lips are rounded. Okay? Okay. So what did they decide to do? Phoneticians decided to have something that we call the vowel quadrilateral. Quadrilateral means this shape. Now in mathematics they refer to this shape as the quadrilateral. Okay? It's not square. It's a quadrilateral. So they decided to have the vowel quadrilateral, and those are the vowels of English. So look at this. They have high, mid, low. What are they referring to? When they say high, mid, low? The height of the tongue. So you can say, let me just press pen. So when they say high, mid, low, they're talking about, let's say, the height of the tongue. Is your tongue high, mid, or low? Good. Here, when they say front, central, back, they're talking about what?
Backness or front.
Exactly. Are we using the front part of the tongue or the back part of the tongue? So this is backness or frontness of the tongue. Backness or frontness. You continue that. Frontness of the tongue. Okay? So we start with the vowel E. This is how I describe it. The vowel E is a high front. Look at the vowel O. It's what? A back high. Exactly. A back high. What else you have? You have, for example, let's say this vowel. How would you describe this vowel? It is a mid-central. You have this in your textbook, okay? You have it in your textbook, but they're not actually drawing a vowel quadrilateral. This is more accurate to have this. Okay, let's try to actually look at these sounds. So let's start with this vowel. It's the vowel E. The vowel E in words just like beat. Beat. So when I pronounce the word beat, I do have a vowel E. It's a front high vowel. Let's look at this vowel. This vowel is just like in a word fit. Fit. So you pronounce this as beat, fit. Do you see the difference? Beat, bit. We have another one. This one just like the word bait. Bait. So you have beat, bit, bait. Okay, look at this. This is how I transcribe. Remember, transcription means using phonetic symbols. So this is how I transcribe the word beat. I have the B sound, I have the E vowel, and I'm going to have 2 dots. It means this vowel is a little bit long. Okay? Beat. And I have a T sound, and I close the square brackets. This is transcription. Okay? Look at this. How do I transcribe bits? You have E, bit. And I close square brackets. How do I transcribe bait? I have, square brackets. Should be square brackets. B sound. Then I have A. Then I have the T sound. Sorry, this should be square brackets. Bait. You see what we're doing here? We're going to continue with these vowels, but not on this chart, because all I needed you to see the vowel quadrilateral. I have an example for each vowel for you, and those are my examples. Look at this. Those are the vowels in English. How many vowels? Yeah. Let's look at this. This is the vowel E in words just like beat. I'm going to write this again. How we transcribe. We're talking about phonetic transcription. So look at this, what I do. When I transcribe the word beat, I use the sound ba. I don't look at the spelling. So don't look at the spelling, we don't care. Okay, I pronounce this word and I say, how do I pronounce it? Beat. It means I have a ba sound, E. Oh, sorry, I touched, oh, okay, just a minute. I'm going to do this again. Okay. So you have, how do I transcribe it? I do have the sound ba, the vowel E, and I'm going to use dots. Why am I going to use dots? Because I have to say this is a long vowel. Okay? Beat. This is how I transcribe this word. Beat. I have another vowel which is E. Bit. In a word just like bit. So this is how I transcribe the word bit. E, then ta sound. I close the square brackets. We have another vowel which is A. In a word just like bait. Bait. How do I transcribe? Remember, we don't care about the spelling, right? So how do I pronounce this word? Bait. So, ba sound, A and T. Bait. Good? Then, you have another one which is E sound. E. So you pronounce this word as bit. Sorry. How can I erase that? Yeah, eraser. Okay, good. I'm going to erase all of that. Okay. Oh no. Okay, let's continue from here, okay? Have you written the rest of that? Okay. So you have here bet. This is how I transcribe the word bet. Bit. See that? What is the difference between this sound and that sound? Look at how I pronounce this word as pit. This is bet. Pit, bet. Beat, pit, bait, bet. This one is eh. This one is it. Bits. Bits and bets. Bits and bets. You have I'll give you another example, just like head and head. Head as the past tense of hide, okay? Head and head. So they're not the same. They don't have the same pronunciation. You transcribe this word with the vowel E. You transcribe this word with vowel E. Are you following? Shall I continue? Okay. In a word just like that, this is how I transcribe this word. Look how I do this symbol. This is how I do this symbol. Bat. Bat. So we have beat, bit, bait, bet, and bat. Okay? We have another one which is sound, just like the word but. It's a short vowel, but. This is how I transcribe it. But. Yeah? Okay, let's continue. How do you pronounce this word? Boots. Boots. So you're going to use the vowel oo. It's a little bit long, just like E. So I'm going to add also 2 dots. Look at this. I'm going to transcribe this word boots. Boots. The vowel oo. Boots. Can you think of other words in English where you have oo? Food. Sorry? Wool. Yeah? All of the sounds in English, all the words that have oo, this is how I transcribe them. Okay? Then you have, don't worry, there's a transcription exercise that we're going to do at the end of the lecture. You have this word, put. Put. So you have boots, put. Boots, put. So how do I transcribe this word? This is how I do this symbol. Put. Put. Yeah? Okay. Then you have a word just like, how do you pronounce this word? Boat. Boat. How do you pronounce this word? This one. Pot. So you have boat and pot. They're not the same. One of them is O and the other one is O. Boat and I'll give you another example. You have low and law. Do you see, if you actually change this for that, you're going to pronounce different words. Yeah? So when you say, this one pronounced is low, as the opposite of high. Now this is law, like you're breaking the law. Yeah? Law. Low, law. So, saw. Look at this. So, saw. So as a conjunction and saw as a past tense of see. So, saw. Low, law. Boat, bought. So how do I transcribe boat? I'm going to use O and T. Boat. Bought. You're going to use this. Pot. You see this? Can you see the difference? Yeah. Another example. Coat and caught. Caught as the past tense of catch. Okay? Coat, caught. Again. Low, law. So, saw. Coat, caught. Good? Okay. Now this one, you're going to pronounce as pot. Oh sound. Pot. Like stop. Exactly. Stop. Pot. Job. Okay? So this one is going to be transcribed as this. Pot. It looks like an upside down up. Okay? Pot. And the last one, the last vowel that we have is the schwa. We call this vowel the schwa. It looks like an upside down E, the letter E. The schwa is a very, very short vowel, and most of the time it is, let's say, we can find it at the beginning of words just like above, because this vowel is not stressed. So you're going to find the stress here. This vowel is going to be schwa. Okay? So how do I transcribe the word above? Schwa, ba. What do you think the vowel I should use in above? Which one? Just like what? Just like which word? But, exactly. Just like but. Above. And this is how I transcribe the word above. Yeah? Again. So you do have the vowel E in a word just like beat. And we talked about the transcription. Bit, bait, bet, bat, but, boot, put, boat, pot, pot, and above. You have other examples in your textbook. Look at your textbook. You have other examples. Okay, just one example I need you to change in your textbook. Just one vowel. Look at page 49, please. Page 49, you see cot, father, and body. Yeah? Instead of this vowel, use this. Cross it out and use this. Again, on page 49, you have cot and body. We don't use this symbol for body and cot. Cot is the same as pot. So this is the symbol that we're using. So again, you have on page 49, you have this symbol next to cot. Do you see it? No. On page 49, do you see the symbols of the vowels? Yeah. Do you see, for example, the second column? Do you see the second column? You have cot, father, and body. Yeah. Did you find it? Okay. You're going to find this vowel symbol. Did you find it? Yes. Okay. Cross it out and write this instead. This. The same as that. The same as that. The same as pot. So you have cot just like pot. Okay? Okay, this textbook is not very accurate. You have to change some things here. Do you understand the change? So if you use this, the symbol that you have in textbook, I'm not going to look at it. Follow the IBA symbols and the symbols that I give you in this class. So this is the symbol for pot, cot, and body. Good so far? Okay? We have other vowels. If you notice, you have like two vowels together. Those, we call those diphthongs. 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 So what are actually diphthongs? diphthongs, they're like a combination of two vowel sounds. They are called diphthongs. Okay? So look at this. In a word just like buy, I have two vowels. Buy, I. Then you have cow, ow. That's the second diphthong. You have boy, just like oi. So when I transcribe the word buy, this is how I transcribe it. Okay, pen. Okay, PC. And then pen. Yes. So how do I transcribe the word buy? Look at this. I'm going to use a diphthong. What is a diphthong? It's a combination of two vowels. This is the first vowel. This is the second vowel. The first vowel, the second. The first, the second. That's why I call it a diphthong. Okay? So this is how I transcribe. Sorry, buy, buy, I. This is how I transcribe cow. Shall I use the C, the letter C? No. Cow. You see what I'm talking about? Then you have boy. This is how I transcribe the word boy. Can you think of other examples? Sorry, I should use the eraser. Okay, if I click that, okay. Boy. Boy. This is how I transcribe the word boy. Let's think of other examples. Yes, lawyer is a little bit different because that's a triphthong. Okay, in this class, you're not required to know anything about triphthongs. Okay? With a word just like lawyer, you're going to have this and that and a schwa. Okay, she's asking me about the word lawyer. In lawyer, yeah. Okay, this is a triphthong. It's a combination of three vowels. In this class, you're not required to know anything about triphthongs. What you're required to know about is the diphthongs. You have two vowels. So in a word just like buy, give me an example just like buy.
Why?
Why? A word just like why.
Cry.
Cry. I. Other examples? My. Okay, examples just like cow. How. Yeah? House. Yes, you have to change it. Yes, you reminded me. Yes. What you have in the textbook, you have, for example, for I. Yeah, you have in the textbook something like this. I. Okay? They're like using glides. Don't use a glide. Change that into I. Use these things that I give you. Okay? Most of phonetics books, they use that. So you have, for example, instead of I in here, you have yeah. Actually, we don't use this for yeah. Remember the IBA symbol? Yeah? We use the other symbol. And this one for ow, and this one for oi. So change what you have in the textbook. If you give me what you have in the textbooks, you lose marks in my exam. Follow what I give you. Only follow what I give you in this class. Did you change it? Good. We still have 10 minutes. So let's have an exercise. An exercise in transcribing. An exercise. Look at this. I have an exercise for you. Practice. So look at the question. The question says, transcribe the following words using phonetic symbols. So what we have to do is to transcribe these words. Okay, you have 5 minutes to do that. 5 minutes. 5 minutes to do the exercise by yourself. You can discuss the answers with your partner. You can talk to your partner. You can discuss the answers. Go ahead. Go ahead and do transcription. I'm not going to read the words. Okay? I'm not going to read them. Think about how we pronounce these words, then use the phonetic symbols that we learned. You can talk to your partner, okay? You can discuss the answers with your partner. Talk to your classmate to see what phonetic symbols you're going to use. You're done? You still need more time? You're done or you still need more time? More time? Okay. Okay. Okay, if you need any help, raise your hand. I'll come to you. If you need any help. If any one of you needs any help, please raise your hand. Yes, is this how you write mean? Well, what did we say? Just like beat. Mean, just like beat. E sound. No? No, you do have the dots, but you change that. This is not A. This sound is A. So it has to be E. Yeah, just like this one, exactly. Yeah. Yeah? Just like boy. Point. You only add the na and a ta. Yeah? Don't worry, next time we're going to have a practice. We're going to do more exercises about transcription. Yeah? Anyone else? Okay, remember, transcription needs practice. It means if you practice, things will be easy for you. If you don't practice it, you're going to face a little bit of difficulty. Yeah? Okay. Since we're running out of time, what I need you to do is to think about these words at home. Okay? Think about them, and next time we're going to do this, and we're going to practice more words, how to transcribe more words. So what I need you to do for next time is to study all the vowels that I've given you in this class, okay? Study the vowels for the transcription exercises that we're going to do next time. Okay? That's enough. That's enough today. Let me take attendance.